Yes, I'm the Rear Commodore of the Greater Huntington Boating Council. That's why all those titles. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here with my spiritual family at the New Thought Spiritual Center of Eastern Long Island. Good morning.
Good morning.
Within every one of us is a deep longing, our souls yearning to connect with, to commune with, and to be in conscious union with a power greater than ourselves, the creator of all that is, which we call God. It can be very easy to get distracted with our relationship with God. There's so many things in the world that call for our attention, but if we desire to experience true peace, true prosperity, true ease and joy, if we want deep contentment and satisfaction and happiness in life, we must find our connection to Source, our unity with Source, and this is the path of the mystic. Now, the word path is defined as the course or direction in which a person or a thing is moving, a course or action or conduct that is consistent. And so our path as a mystic is an ongoing daily experience of consciously cultivating our relationship with the God power within us. Now let's look at the word mystic. A mystic is a spiritual seeker who continually seeks to awaken and reclaim their innate spiritual oneness. Ernest Holmes, in Science of Mind, wrote, "A mystic is one who has a deep inner sense of life and of his unity with the whole." I want to read you something written by Dr. Ernest Holmes from his book, This Thing Called You, and I put it on a handout for you today. It's on page 56. Who's read that book? I know you were using it here. Isn't that I think that's my favorite book ever. Have you read it in the first person? That's a really great way it's a great way to read it. And this is what he wrote. "The spirit within me is God. The living Spirit Almighty is within me now. Spirit is the sustaining principle of my life. I open my mind to its influx. I open my consciousness to its inflowing. I open my heart to its love." Okay, that's deep. That's really deep. I'm going to read it again. "The spirit within me is God. The living Spirit Almighty is within me now. Spirit is the sustaining principle in my life. I open my mind to its influx. I open my consciousness to its inflowing, and I open my heart to its love." You may have heard the story of the spiritual seeker who heard that there were a council of mystics who were living high atop a mountain in a faraway land. And it was a council of mystics who cultivated their divine nature, or what Ernest Holmes called the living Spirit Almighty. Now, this spiritual seeker so desired to learn at the feet of these mystics that he sold everything he owned and headed out on a journey, a very long journey, to find these mystics. The journey was filled with hardship. It was filled with pain. It was filled with losses along the way. And it took years and years for him to find the mystics. And as the years passed, the spiritual seeker accumulated other bands of seekers that joined him on the mission to find these mystics. They finally reached the precipice high atop of the mountain where the mystics were located. And as they looked into the room where the mystics were gathered, they see robed and hooded mystics all sitting around a table. They're so excited, their hearts leap for joy. This was this big, long, arduous journey, and they finally met the Council of Mystics. They walked into the room, they rushed towards the table, and they found that the robes were empty. And so they were shocked initially, they were dismayed, they was disheartened, it was just awful. But then slowly, one by one, they came to a very profound realization. They realized that they were to put on the robes because they were the mystics they had been seeking. Being a mystic requires the awareness, the consciousness that wants to really know and experience and live freely in this innate divine truth of oneness. being a mystic is not a one-shot deal. That's really important because, we'll do our spiritual work, or we're in the flow, we're seeing all divine synchronicity. We must continually nourish our consciousness. It is a path that requires daily focus, daily determination in order to be in conscious awareness of our unity, of our oneness with this living spirit, almighty within. So the challenge that we face on the path of being a mystic is living in a world where we're pulled in so many directions. We get tugged here and there with duties and responsibilities. And there's many different directions in our inner life, also with our thoughts and our emotions, right? The way our thinking goes. And on the path of the mystic, much of the difficulty comes from thinking that we are mere human beings, and we tend to identify only with our mind and our body and our emotions and our conditions, the ego. We spoke about that, Nick and I. The ego gets involved. And so we tend to look at the circumstances of our lives, and we look at what's going on in our bodies and our affairs and our heads, and we think that that's what is real. And we say, well, that's my reality. And at the level of humanity, it is true. It is. We don't deny, we don't minimize our circumstances. We don't minimize the impact that it can have on us mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yet we are so much more than the circumstances and the conditions of our life. We have a body, but we are not our body. The body may be in different conditions of health or sickness. It may be rested and vibrant, or it may be tired, but it has nothing to do with the core of our being, our essential self. And we have a mind, and we're not our minds. Our minds may take us on an interesting journey. Sometimes our mind takes us on wonderful positive journeys, and sometimes our mind takes us on wonderful negative journeys. I don't know how wonderful they are, but we can get really negative and spiral down. And it may seem like we don't have any control over our minds, but that's simply not true. The real you, the essential self, is beyond your mind. You are the thinker that thinks the thought, that produces the thing in the manifest universe. That's a Johnny Coleman quote, by the way. So we have emotions, but we're not our emotions. Our emotions can fluctuate, but our true nature never fluctuates, and it never changes. We have experiences and conditions, but we're not our experiences and conditions. They can never touch our essential self. And every time we get caught in our conditions, our circumstances, and our emotions, and our thoughts, or the physical state of our bodies, we move into a sense of separation from our source. Now, if you've been a student of New Thought teachings for a while, you've likely already have this mindset of being a mystic. You already are a mystic. You've experienced consciously living and moving and having your being as an expression of God. You actually feel your connection to the living spirit within, the living spirit almighty, not only in prayer and meditation, but in every waking moment. And your intuition, which is your divine guidance system, that's the universe within you that's guiding you, it becomes heightened, it becomes sharpened, and you learn to follow it. I think that's probably the biggest thing where I miss the mark. I'll get an idea, and I'll say, oh no, that's just a negative thought. I don't need to pay attention to that. And then I realize in retrospect, should have paid attention. So more and more, I personally become conscious and conscious aware of paying attention to my intuition. And as we do, we are in the moment. When we're paying attention, we're living in the now moment. And what we're doing is we are living from this living spirit within. So with that intention, to live and move and have our being as God in expression, suddenly our life changes. And we see and experience God, the good, in everyone, in everything. And that's another affirmation I printed for you. Are you familiar with Ernest Holmes' affirmation on good? Good and more good is mine, and ever increasing good is mine. There is no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good, I feel this good, and I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me now. Now, you wonder how I could memorize that? Well, Ernest Holmes suggests that you say it 100 times a day, and I've been doing that every day. I did it here this morning. It only took me a half an hour today, or a little more than a half an hour, but to say it over and over and really to imbue your conscious with that. And so as you do that and you become this mystic, you already are the mystic, you find yourself in the flow of life. You experience divine synchronicity. You think of somebody and they call you. You're in the right place at the right time. You find doors open that had been closed with the right people showing up. Or as someone sent me in an email the other day, they said, every day, more and more, I realized that this was the right decision for me. That's the universe showing up in your life, in affairs. And so you're divinely guided in all ways, always. It's our commitment to do our spiritual work daily. I don't have time. I got a plane. I got to go to work. I got to get on my boat. I got to do this and do that, whatever. It is your commitment to do your spiritually work and to continually endeavor to raise your consciousness, strengthen and deepen the connection every day in every way. I'm getting better and better. Oh, that's an aside. But I'll tell you, self-mastery through conscious living. Who's heard of Emile Coué? So when I was a little girl, my grandma used to say to me, because I used to get the croup all the time, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. This guy started a worldwide movement in the early 1900s from this statement, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. Matter of fact, I do Monday Mindful Moments on Facebook, and my last Monday I spoke about Emile Coué. And what happened was the people like Clement Stone, Norman Vincent Peale, who are some of the great writers of New Thought? They're escaping my mind right now, but what's that?
Emerson, Thoreau.
Yeah, well, they were way before him. He was the 8th. Yes, Shin is one of the great unity teachers. And so Clement Stone is the one I'm thinking about. Who wrote the book about money? Who's the famous author?
Napoleon Hill.
That's it, Napoleon Hill. That's who said that. That's the one I'm thinking of, Napoleon Hill. And so their work is all based on Emile Coué's work, self-mastery and conscious awareness. And so worldwide movement of people waking up to this, which is just absolutely wonderful. People saying that over and over. I suggest you look it up. But what he did was, he said, every night before you go to sleep, repeat over and over, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And when you awaken, as soon as you become aware that you're becoming conscious, say it over and over, every day in every way, and I'm getting better and better. He said, don't force it, don't try to do anything, just say it. And so the point I'm trying to make is that we must do a daily practice of our spiritual work to raise our consciousness. Otherwise, the ego mind is going to get in charge. And so we are grounded in the beingness of love and in becoming love more fully expressed. This is our divine nature. This is our divine path, the path of the mystic. We're grounded in the beingness of peace and in becoming more peacefully expressed. We're grounded in the being of harmony and in becoming harmony more fully expressed. And we're grounded in the beingness of abundance and in becoming abundance more expressed. And we are grounded in the beingness of joy and becoming joy more fully expressed. Good and more good is mine. I want to remind you, we are in this age by divine appointment. We chose to be here at this time. We are light workers who are bringing forth this transformation of the universal consciousness. There's a big shift happening right now. If you look out, it may seem crazy and confusing, but that's just chemicalization, where the water's muddy, you pour the clean water in, and it gets all stirred up, but eventually it gets cleaner and cleaner. Catherine Ponder spoke about chemicalization. And so our job during this really big shift and during this upward spiral is to realize consciously that we're all connected, that we're one with every soul on the planet. And the movement of the living Spirit Almighty within us is urging us and nudging us onward, forward, upward, towards a greater awakening and a consciousness of our oneness. As light workers, our job is to help transform the darkness into light. Our task is to continually nourish and amplify our connection to this amazing energy and power, the I Am presence. I Am is the name of God within you. Whatever you attach to those two words, you're telling the universe you want that to be the truth in your life experience. I want to end with a very simple and powerful process. I've taught it to you before. It's called havening techniques. You can look it up on YouTube, transformationalhavening.org or havening.org. It's an amazing technique that when you do 3 simple steps of havening, it creates serotonin, it creates delta waves. Even doing it for just 30 seconds without any of the techniques. Havening, this is one way to haven. Across your forehead and down your face. The other is rubbing your palm, and the other is this. Even doing that for just 30 seconds, you will create serotonin. So you literally hold in your hands the ability to create feel-good chemicals in your body. And havening builds neural pathways. It'll improve your self-esteem. It enhances emotional resistance. Some people actually use it for PTSD, or they're calling it PTS now, because they post-traumatic stress. They're not making a disorder anymore, because everybody has post-traumatic stress in one way or another. So it's a normal. So I've showed you the 3 primary ways for haverings. Now what I'd like to do is what I've printed out for you, the affirmations by Ernest Holmes. I'd like to say them. You may want to close your eyes, you don't have to, but please begin havening. Notice how you feel right now, so when we finish the process, you can see the distinct difference. And please repeat after me quietly. The spirit within me is God. The living Spirit Almighty is within me now. Spirit is the sustaining principle of my life. I open my mind to its influx. I open my consciousness to its inflowing. I open my heart to its love. Good and more good is mine. And ever increasing good is mine. There's no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good, I feel it, and I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. Now. Now. Okay. So notice how you feel. Get a little serotonin, some delta waves. You feel more relaxed. And you can do that to your doggy, Ronald, when you stroke your doggy's face. Yeah. So in closing, I'd like to remind you that the world is undergoing a rapid and radical spiritual transformation. We truly are in this age by divine appointment, and we are the light workers and the mystics. We are intentionally bringing forth the manifestation of peace on earth. We are bringing forth a world of divine order and divine right action for all. So go out there and make it a better world by being the light and the love of the living Spirit Almighty within you. And so begins your lesson.